All right, so now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building out that custom loop layout. But before we get rolling there, I actually did screw on my head on again straight and figured out and remembered how to get this in line with that. It's not a visual folder bug, it's my brain bug. So to do that, just come back here to our layout for the page and we can go ahead and put that. Well, the module's not exactly Visual Builder compatible, so I don't know why I'm doing this way, but here we are. Okay, so go into the settings for the order by module, and we're just gonna give it some absolute positioning. We're gonna go here to the advanced tab and then position. We're gonna say absolute, and now basically what's happening is within that div container, that row, the module for the order by is just staying put in one spot. That means the other content's gonna scoot up. But because it's first, the other content's not going to overlay this. So we need to make sure that we set the Z index correctly. So come down here. Now, if you want to be very precise, you can kind of see how here that text comes out over those icons. That's when you know the Z index is in the right spot. When it goes down below 0, it doesn't work. So let's see if it works at 1. And 1 seems to be the ticket. So 1 works fine there. So we don't need to go any higher than that. You would kind of incrementally go depending on what the Z order is here on the page. So with that all set, we can go ahead and save. And I will just come up here and save my page, come to the front end, and we will reload. And there you go. Now you can see that we can easily access that. No problemo. So now on to the fun bit where we build out this fancy Apple layout. I'm going to first break it down for you guys into what these different elements are. So first we've got, of course, the thumbnail image. Then we've got some color swatches, which are the attributes for the colors this item does come in. And then we've got the product title, a short little piece of information on it. Now that can be the excerpt or anything like that for the product. We've got the price. We've got a add to cart, essentially, add to cart button here. And then we've got a view post button because that would just take you to the single product page. And then we've got a whole bunch of additional attributes. And those can be attribute modules. Now, we're not going to go and add all of this stuff in here right now because otherwise we're going to be sitting here all day. We're already adding an attribute up here, so you could use that beautiful imagination of yours to figure out exactly how you would go through this much longer process of adding these things in. We're going to keep it simple and just have this layout like this right here. So let's get cracking. Okay, so from the back end of our Divi site, we are going to go over to, yes, the Divi Library. Whenever we're adding layouts and stuff like this, it's always good to work here. It makes these layouts portable. It means that you use them in other spots. I just like it. So click on Add New. So you're going to give it a fancy name. So we'll just call this the Apple layout because that's what we're doing. And then you kind of want to indicate what it's going to be. This is a loop layout, right? So let's call it that. I like to work with this layout type as a layout. Just gives you a little bit more control of the spacing and all that fun stuff on there. So let's go ahead and submit. And just like you normally would have, you have the Divi Builder popping up asking you to do stuff. So, and the classic double load. Love it. Okay, so we're going to be building from scratch here. Now, I'm a filthy liar and I have to admit it to you. I said before that you have to build grid first when you're building these layouts so that the list grid switcher works perfectly. I was wrong. We are going to be building with the list view first. And then we're going to make some accommodations for the grid view. I will walk you guys through some of the classes you can use. I don't think we actually need to use any of them for this particular layout, but I wanted to just make you aware of them so that if you do have some specific needs, and I'll even demonstrate them for you, you're aware that they're out there. Cool. So since we're doing a list view first, I think it's appropriate to add a 1/3 and 2/3 column structure here to my row. And now remember, we kind of broke it down earlier about how this layout is put together: thumbnail, attribute, title, text, price, add to cart, and the view post button. So let's get back in here and start building that out. Cool. So first thing, we can scroll down or you can type it in. I like to type. I find it to be much more efficient because BodyCommerce just adds so many modules to your page. But another way, if you wanted to just see all the loop layout modules, you can just type in LL and it'll kind of narrow it down for you. So you can say loop layout, indicated by the IL, of course. So I've got my thumbnail here. So I'm going to go ahead and select that one. Now here you can set your thumbnail size and all that fun stuff. I'm just going to leave it as is. We'll kind of work with it as we go. You can have it linked to the single product page or not. That's going to be entirely up to you. And just remember that what we're doing here is inspired by that Apple layout. It's not going to be the exact same thing, but here you can see that they do link to the single product page with pretty much every element on here because they want you getting closer to that buy, right? So we're going to leave that on. We're not going to be using a placeholder image here. We can show variations for image change, all that fun stuff. Open a new tab. We're not dealing with that. Great. So image style, here you can kind of control what it does. The default is to have that overlay, and then image only is only going to be no overlay, as it very clearly and smartly indicates there. And then flip image, it would go to a secondary image to show a different view of the product. Some people dig it. Apple's not using it. We ain't using it. So that's going to be it. Cool. We're done. No, just kidding. We need to now add in some of the other elements. One of the other elements that we will add in, and I think this is going to make more sense. So we've got the color attribute here, right? It's going to make more sense to have it maybe underneath the thumbnail also, as they do there. And then we start with the title on that side. So let's go ahead and type in ATTR, and that's going to bring up attributes. And this is the one that we're looking for, PL attributes module. Now we can go ahead and give it a name, and we can type in colors. I'm not going to do that because I don't want that title to show up on the front end. Instead, what we're going to be doing here is go to attribute, and I already have some color attributes set up in those products that I imported. Now, if you don't have that, you're going to need to add some. And we'll take a look at something there right now that's going to kind of clarify some stuff here in regards to that. Again, you've got linking the attribute to the archive page. So it would be like if you click on the red color, it takes you to all the products with red colors, that type of stuff. You can do all this fun stuff in regards to the linkage and how it works and how it shows on hover. Now, we're interested here in showing the image color swatch because that's what they have on the front end with the Apple site, but there's still a setting or two we're going to need to work with. So strap on in. So what is the swatch type? Now, these are the advanced swatches that BodyCommerce adds to your site. So you're going to go ahead and select color because they are color swatches. You can set the size, and we're going to be playing with that stuff in a little bit. And you can also decide on where the swatch position is. We are not going to mess with that at this moment. I think we're pretty good for now. And I'm just going to add the title in here because I want to assign this layout so that we can kind of look at what it looks like on the front end. And then we can get to some other stuff we need to do, okay? So we can type in loop layout to get all the loop layout modules. And then we're just going to go here to the PL title because it is the loop layout title. And then you can select what type of tag you want there. Does it link to the single page? We're going to say yes this time. Open a new tab. I don't think so. And then it gives you opportunity to say where that title is from. Now, if you wanted to add the category as a subtitle, something like that, this is how you're going to do it. So let's just save that up. Now update this. And actually, before we continue here, I just want to pull this in here. You see that we added this little feature here where you can see the actual products, because when we come up here into the visual builder, we need to kind of indicate what is it that we want to look at, right? So this is now going to say nothing, but if we do select our products down here and we update this page, fingers crossed, it should show us some dummy data, well, not dummy data, but data from our database as they relate to product. So if I go to the visual builder now, you can see that it's loading the stuff in. Nothing loaded there. We can see that we're going to need to do some work on that. So how do we assign this layout? Good question. We're going to go over to our shop page layout, our front page for the site. That's the same page that this one is that we've been working on. And we'll just go down to our archive loop, hop in there. And now, remember, we selected that pre-made loop template that we made for you. Now we're going to go and say custom layout. And actually, I need to refresh the page because that loop layout was not created last time we worked on this. So let me just update this. So basically, if I'm on this page still, I went and created that other one, but I didn't refresh this page, it's not going to know it exists. So we need to refresh to let it know. So back down, I'm going into the archive loop module. We've got custom layout selected. Click the drop down, and here we have our Apple layout loop. That's the same name that we assigned here. So that's pretty straightforward stuff. So let's go ahead and update that. We'll update this. Okay, and now we can hop on the front end. I'm just going to refresh my page. Okay, so now we've got a basic layout here. We've got our, thumbnail. We're supposed to have our little swatches there, right? But they're not there. So we'll have to figure out what's happening there. And then we've got our brand buttons, that Divi Engine Life crop top, all that fun stuff. Those are, of course, our product titles. When we go to list view, you can see that it kind of does an okay job of just automatically, as if by magic, moving things over. So let's quickly show you how we fix this attribute issue. So we'll just hop back on the back end of our Divi site. And where we're going to go is we're going to go to the body commerce settings. There we've got the variation swatches option. And sometimes what you need to do just depends on your setup. You need to switch this off, save, switch it on, save, and this enables the Divi engine style variation swatches. Now you can do all sorts of crazy stuff like add tooltips to them so that when you hover, it's showing you some context like the color name or whatever you assign to it. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to go to products and then attributes, because that's of course where our attributes live. Now with the body commerce setting on here, you can see that it asks you what type of attribute are you adding here. So we go over to our color, which is the one that would have imported with the other setting with the CSV file. So we go and edit that. And then all we do here is we go and select color, update, and then we'll go back to our attributes. And now when we go to configure terms, we've got blue in here. So let's edit blue. And now it's going to want to know the color. We just type in blue, update, and there you go. You've got blue in there. We'll come back. And now for white, of course, we're just going to do the same. Edit. We'll type in white. And now you can use a color code, of course, in there too. It's just basically, it's going to read that CSS property that associates with it. So if CSS has a name for that color, it will work. Last but not the least, this coupon management thing has moved is really annoying. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like it. So I'm going to say yellow. I'm going to update. And of course, these are my examples. You guys, if I call that green, or I put in the code for green, or I put a specific shade of yellow in there with the hex code, that all would translate in this example of what that swatch is going to look like. So just be aware of that. That stuff does carry. So now we've got our colors right here, and hopefully things are going to be working now on the other side. So let's go back to our loop over here. I just like to kind of build in this view because you can clearly see everything that's happening. So yeah, we've got our product color. We are all set. Now, in theory, once I save this, everything should be working on the front end now. Okay, let's hop on the front end and let's refresh our page. I come and I scroll down, and of course that item would need some variations with those colors associated with them. And here they are. We have some different options and we have our swatches, but they don't look quite right yet. Okay, so for border radius, I want it to be perfectly round. So I'm going to say 100%. And then I think for the swatch sizes, 15 pixels should be okay. And I'm going to go ahead and update. Okay, and then I'm going to hop on the front end, scroll down. Let's refresh the page really quickly and come back down here. And there we go. We've got our little dot swatches going on. That's not too bad. We're making some progress, but we still have to get them in the middle. I don't love the fact that that text is there. So let's get working on that. Okay, so tightening things up, we're here gonna go back to the attributes module, and where we decide why we want the swatch position to be, we're just gonna remove the name because I don't like that, and Apple didn't do that. So let's not do that. And next up, to center this, we're gonna go to the design tab. We'll go to text and just center it because essentially that's part of a text entity on the page there, and we'll save that up. One more thing that I noticed here is you see that white swatch kind of gets lost on the page there. Maybe we'll just give this background a little bit of a off-whitish color, kind of like the background there, just a bit lighter, I think. You know, and certainly not for the looks purposes. It's just so that it's functional, so you can actually see the colors. So we'll just go to the background for this section. I'm gonna click here and let's try F4, F4, F4. That's not too bad. And then another thing that I saw, got a lot of space at the top and the bottom here. So on this section, I'm going to remove the padding at the top and the bottom also. So let's go ahead and do that. So back on the section, we're going to go to the design tab and go to spacing. And then for tabbing, now for padding top and link them for bottom, make it 0. I'm going to save. I'm going to update. And then we're going to journey to the front end. And let's reload that layout. Oh, great. So looks like the background that they used here is the exact same one that I chose. So we'll have to go with something a little bit lighter. So we'll go change that up in a second. But you can see that that white's standing out a bit more now. You can kind of see it much better. Cool. So let's just quickly do that. That's going to take me 2 seconds. Background. Just drag this up a little bit. Not all the way. So F9. Update. And let's take a peek. But we're making good progress here towards this Apple layout. Let's quickly refresh our shop page. There we go. Now you can kind of see there's a little bit more room for everything. You can go further and you can round the borders of this. You can add shadow, you can add hover effects. There's so many other things that you can do, but I ain't the guy teaching you that today because there's so many other resources that will show you how to do that. I want to show you how to use the BodyCommerce features. Now, one of the things I do want to disable here, I can see on the thumbnail, I do want to disable the hover effect because I'm not the biggest fan on earth about that. So that's the next thing we'll do. And then we'll add some more of the information. So opening up the thumbnail settings, image style, of course, image only, no overlay, and that'll kind of fix that up. So what are we doing next? We want to add this simple line of text right here, which can be part of the description. That's what I'm using for this. But, you know, again, like I said, you can use ACF fields. So many different things that you can do to get your own information in there. So let's go ahead and type in the content, I believe. There we go. Oh, actually, let's go and type in loop layout. And then we can go meta. We can go short description. I think that's the one that we want. And you can give it a custom word count. And when we look at what Apple did here, they've got about 4 words, right? Yeah, we're going to stick to 4 words. We're going to really ape Apple. So we'll just type in here 4 words and that's it. What else do we need to add? We'll worry about styling this a little bit better in a second. We'll be adding the price. Let's go. Come back here to our layout. So very easy again. You can type in loop layout to get all your loop layout modules. And there you've got the price. Easy. Now you can say from because they have the from right before the pricing and change to selected variable. We're not having selectable variables on this archive page, but you can set that up however you choose. And that's how simple this one will be. And we'll just get all the elements on there and then we'll start working on it again. So then we've got buy. So that is as simple as a add to cart module. So PL add to cart. Now here you can go and you can hide it when the product's out of stock. You can do different variation options. You can make it a full width button. You can add the quantity box, all that stuff. We're going to pretty much center everything here. And what we're going to do is say buy instead of add to cart. So you can do also, do this for all the other variations. So there might be different scenarios. We're just going to go with buy across the board. Now, we're not doing subscription products here, but as you can see, it does have options for that. Group products, external products, out of stock products, default button, text, and more. But that's a lot of information. So as far as quantity goes, you could say show quantity input. I'm not going to do that. And then for variations, you can hide variation prices. You can add them at the top. You can also hide the variation reset. We're not going to be messing with that too much because, of course, you can add things like other elements like the sizes. We have sizes for these shirts too, but we're not going to do that here. So let's go ahead and save that. And last but not least, we're going to want this learn more, which basically is view product. So let's go here and type in view and we will go here, LL view product button, and we'll just add learn more. Now, I don't think we need to be the exact same case as them. Okay, and then custom URL, and we're not going to mess with that. We're going to disable the button style, and that's going to be it. Now, you can come over here, and we'll get into this in a little bit. We'll add some styling for the buttons, and we'll go through element by element and style them up. But let's update this really quickly and see what we're looking at on the front end. Okay, let's refresh. So now, as you guys can see, a lot of stuff has happened. Got our learn more button here now. We have our buy button. We can disable that animation. We're going to need to do some styling here and we'll go through all of that with you. But we are pretty darn close, especially when we look at these ones down here to what Apple has over on their site. And it really didn't take us that long. I know this is one of the longer videos in the course, but it is maybe one of the more important ones because you need to learn how these things work. You have the full knowledge to kind of like get through building that perfect replication of what you want. So let's go back here and I will tackle these items one for one. I'm going to quickly just enable products here. So I'd like to see what I'm doing so that I can be in the visual builder and work on this visually. Sometimes it's just easier to do than going back and forth the whole time. So now, as you can see, this does not really represent what we see on the front end. If you want to see the card view, this is another easy way to get to that. Now, up here on the front end, we can see what we need to do. We need to increase the size of the title here a bit. I think the text on the bottom is okay. We just maybe want to center all these different elements also. So let's start doing that by working on the title. And I am going to go to the design settings. We're going to go title text and bam, we'll center that. And maybe I'll just add a little bit of boldness to it. And why not bump it up just a little bit to like 34? And the reason I use the mobile view here is just gives me a little bit more of a representation of what that would look like on the front end. And cool. Want to double check? Okay. Got a little scared there. I thought we've got our little hover overlay thing again, which I do not love. All right, cool. So that's that for this one. Now you can go ahead and adjust the colors. You can do so many other things that you can think of. Up to you how much you want to customize this. Let's go to that short description. And we're only using 4 words there. And then all we need to do is go to the text and the design tab, and bam, we'll center that also. Now, who caught that little bug here? It's not a bug. It's very literal in the way that it interprets how you want to see this. So we're going to open up the settings for that price here, and we're going to add a space, and then bam, it's got the space right there. And let's look at our reference here again. A little bit smaller text than they have underneath that little short description. So let's go ahead and go to design. We'll go to the text, and we can center, and that would just by default center everything. I think what I'll do is I'll bump up this short description text just a tiny bit because I'm pretty comfortable with that size right there. So let's do that really quickly. Go to design, text, and we'll just maybe make this 16. That is looking good. Now, what's up next? We have our very blue button here that we will change in the add to cart. So let's edit the add to cart module. We do not need to show all the elements. Variations, got all this fun stuff in here, but we're not dealing with that. We're just going to go straight to design here, and then we're going to go to the add to cart button, and I'll probably scroll by it the first time because that's how I roll. First things, let's align it in the middle. Great. Very visible, the compatible right there. But then we'll go to the main button. On the main button, again, center in the middle. We'll use custom styles for it. And what was that text color? It was white. Yep, that was white. And so we're going to make the text white. We're going to make the background blue. As you can see, it's already doing that for us. And we are not going to have any borders or anything like that, but we do have some border radius. So let's go ahead and add that 25 in again. It makes it nice and round. And you'll see they'll get closer to this as soon as we change the text size on there. So main button font, I'm not messing with that. Now, we don't want the icon on there because Apple didn't have that. So you can just remove that. You see how easy that is to do. But as far as the text size here at the top, I don't know. I think that's a 12 maybe. It's feeling pretty close for me. And maybe that's it. We'll take a look because we only have one more element here, which is this learn more. So let's go take a look at that by saving this, and then we'll just edit that module. So we've removed the button style, but we still need to do some buttons. But we still need to some buttle. But we still need. Sounds like I'm saying butthole, but we still need to do some button styling here. So let's go to design for text. We'll put it in the middle, and you can see that it flies right into the middle there. That's what we wanted to do. And for the module text, we can just reinforce what we wanted to do. We can make the text blue. And here, what we're going to want to do is that on hover, I come up here. Okay, and we'll basically just keep going down to here where it says button. I'm going to enable that, and then come all the way down, and we've got the show button icon, and it had that little chevron thingy on the right. So let's go ahead and add that. So that is just this little fella, and we will go down, and it's got it. And now it's got the option, do you only want to show it on hover? No, we're going to always show that one. And we just want to make sure that that icon is blue also. So let's go see what damage we did on the front end. Let's save this layout and see what progress has been made. Okay, let's refresh. All right. I think we are doing pretty darn good. The exception that this layout isn't exactly looking like it's in the middle, but it really is. If we look over here, it's just because of the icon and the borders on the sides, because it's like technically a button style. So I think maybe for our purpose, we're going to remove that out of there. But let's look at the rest of this stuff. When we compare them, we've got our different attributes. We've got our title. We've got the little bit of extra text there. We've got the price. We've got the buy button. And we just have the world in our palm of our hands here. So that's pretty exciting. So let's just quickly take that chevron out of that view. And we'll just go to design. We'll just go over here to the button stylings. And all you got to do for that is just switch this off, update, and we'll just refresh this as soon as I can see it save up here and refresh. And there we go. I think we have a winner here now. This is a pretty close representation of that layout. Now, One thing I did want to mention before we continue is those classes that you can use if you want to switch between these. So let's go to list view. And, this is great, but I want to quickly draw your attention to a help article here. And of course, I'll have this help article linked in the description of this lesson. But here is all about using the list grid switcher. Now, this might not seem like it is, pursuant to the actual loop layout, but it is because we have these fancy classes over here that you can add in your loop layout to disable certain things on the front end. And I wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. So what I want to do is just quickly show you how to have something that is hidden in list view and then something that is hidden in grid view. Okay, so let's take and copy this first class here for hidden list view. Okay, and we'll go back to our layout here. We look at our list view here. Let's just say for some reason we want to remove the learn more button for that. Or maybe you want something to show there instead of whatever you have going on now. All we got to do is go on this learn more. We'll go to advanced and then you'll just add the class right here. Simple as that. Now we said that we're going to do two different things. So we're going to hide something in grid view also. So we'll take that. We'll go back over here and just for funsies here, let's just remove the add to cart button in grid view. We'll fix this again once we're done here, but this is mostly for demonstration purposes. So you know and you're aware of it and that you can see that it actually works. So saving this up, I'm going to go to the front end and now I'm in list view, right? So we expect learn more to disappear. So let's see what happens. And there you go. Learn more is gone. So when I click on grid, yeah, you guessed it. We want that add to cart button to go away. And it sure did. So you see how easy it is and flexible it is to really have so much control over your list and your grid views. I find it super awesome to have access to that type of stuff and just really feel like I can build whatever I see online because, who knew you'd be building out an Apple loop layout in Divi of all things. It's amazing. So that's going to be it for these loop layouts that we have. Now, I did talk a little bit about coding your own loop templates before. I've linked the article on that for you guys or the tutorial that I did previously. Very helpful stuff if you really want to take control of the load times, but that does take PHP, HTML, CSS if you want to get into that and do even further amazing things with your loop layouts. But that's it for this lesson. So next up, we're going to be taking a look at adding filters to our pages, and we'll do that on a brand new separate page. We'll copy this archive loop module that we've kind of handcrafted with our layout that we want in there and show you how you can use some advanced filtering techniques powered by Ajax and Divi BodyCommerce. So let's get to that in the next lesson.